Welcome back to the Fist Podcast, episode 13. My name is Brendan Blower, and I'm sitting down with the boys. We're back again, luckily. So, first off, I want to introduce Kyle Mazer and Shane Kelly. How are you guys doing this week? They both got their shades on. I don't know if they're even ready for this.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I had a pretty good 21st birthday down in Nashville with you boys. I'm just excited to get the pod rolling today.
Yeah, it's good to be back at the castle in good old Brighton, Michigan. Let's just give a quick recap of the last night in Nashville, because those that listen only heard the first two nights.
And night 3 was a riot, to say the least. I don't know about you boys, but me and Shane had a good time.
How should we start it off? Should we start with the day drinking or what?
Well, what time did we go out in the morning?
Like 1 o'clock? No, we didn't go out in the morning. We woke up at like 11. I think we pregame to like
we
1?
Probably went to Starbucks again, spent $12 on shitty coffee and breakfast, and then we got after it after that, because I think we picked up a fifth of Jack and just we went straight to it.
I think we came home with 4/5 and a pint that we finished in 3 days or something.
Dude, that was honestly, like, after looking at the alcohol that we went through in that weekend, it was pretty impressive. Not gonna lie, like we did some
bottles,
damage,
not including the fuckload of money I spent at the bar.
Exactly.
Great.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just 4/5 alone between the four of us, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I told my parents that we came back. We're like, we drank 4/5 before we even went out to the bars, and they were like, what? They were like amazed. Like, how are you alive right now?
Yeah, no, we did some damage down in Nashville, that's for sure. And I broke the fucking bank again. So yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but
basically when we got into I want to tell a little story. So Kyle allegedly was using a fake ID when we first got there.
Allegedly.
Because we got
dazzle.
We got there a couple of days before, or a day before his 21st. So he was using that, and it was all fine. And Kyle's been using this ID, and he's never had a problem with it. So he turns 21 on Saturday. So Saturday night, we go out to the bars.
Well, Saturday all day.
Yeah, Saturday all day. He's using his fake still when he's 21. And obviously, I tried explaining that if you're 21, they'll give you free drinks. Obviously, he threw that out the window, or a free shot at least. And so we get to a bar at night on Kyle's 21st birthday, and he hands the bouncer his fake ID, and he looks at it, not kidding, 6 times, and looks up at him, and he like shakes his head and hands it to the other bouncer. And I was like, Kyle, you're fucking 21 years old and you're using your fake still?
And not once in the past 2 years that I've used that have I ever been once questioned about using that fake ID. Well, it's a real ID, but...
There was one bar that we were at, and, Mazer ordered me a drink and himself a drink, and he hands the lady his ID, and she was eyeing that shit down. And I thought for sure, I was like, oh, he's donezo.
Well, I'm not worried about it. I am... Yeah. Chaz Disrath. So,
anyway.
allegedly.
Doubt it.
But no. I believe the manager did come over and he said it was all good, right?
Yeah, no, he gave us the okay, so we turned out all right. That's all that matters.
And then, long story short, Kyle and Will went missing.
Yeah, we don't know. Rogue.
We don't know where.
While we were gone doing our own thing, going Rover, what did you guys do?
We shut down Broadway.
Yeah, me and Shane, we had a night, man, just to say the least. We had a night, and I especially, I was helping out bachelorette parties and stuff, and I was trying to make myself look like a good guy out there. So, I had a good time.
And another funny story is every time we would meet like just random strangers, one of us would say our name is Stephen Piak.
Sorry, Piak.
That was like my joke. I was like, if I meet a girl or something down here, I'm telling her my name's Stephen Piak.
So anyways, we meet Blower and I. This is when you and Will are gone. Blower and I meet this one group of girls, and they're like, so what's your name? Blower's like, oh, I'm Brendan. And then they asked me, I was like, oh, my name's Steven. And so that we're talking for a while, and then their friends come up, and start talking to us, and they asked us what our names was, and Blower was like, "Oh, I'm Brendan, and this is Shane."
They would not leave us alone, though. I was trying to get rid of them so hard.
So
that was why I did it.
So after they said that, the two original girls look at each other. They were like, "He just said his name was Steven." And then shortly after that, Blower and I just kind of left, and yeah, we shut down Broadway.
No, we were like telling people that I was getting married and shit, because I had a lady back home at the time, so I was trying to be respectful. We were telling people that I was getting married and shit, and like we had this whole story going. It was actually funny as hell, but
it worked a little bit.
Yeah, no, it actually did. I mean, I got left alone, and Shane was pulling and wheeling and dealing, so it worked out well. But yeah, we had a good night on Saturday. We closed down Broadway, so.
And then while we were closing down Broadway, it was probably like 2 a.m. There's a group of bachelorettes, and one of them drops their phone down a sewer. And
it was like a sewer drain, so it's like a little grid, basically, like a grid panel that like covers the sewer drain. And the girl dropped her phone down there.
And it was right in front of this homeless dude. And so they're like, "Oh my God, we gotta get our phone somehow." So Blower and this homeless guy rip up this like 100 pounds. I don't even know how much.
Dude, this fucking thing was literally probably like 220 pounds. And me and this guy, we got it off. Like we pulled it off. And then, so I'll let Shane explain.
Yeah, so they get it off, and the homeless guy jumps down in the sewer and grabs the phone. And everyone's just going crazy. They're like, "Oh!" And then they try putting it back on, and Blower's got one end, the guy's got the other end, and Blower got all pissed because
this guy that's helping me, he wasn't doing shit. Like he's barely even helping me. What is it called? It wasn't even like a manhole cover. It was I don't know, but
no, that's what it was.
It was pretty much the same. We looked it up, and it says it's about 250 pounds. So. Either way, this guy's next to me is helping me, and he's not doing shit. So I was like, "Buddy, dude, just move. Just get out of my way. Just let me take care of it." And so I picked this fucking thing up all by myself. Don't know how still. I just yanked on it and picked it up. I set it back down. I got all these people cheering for me. I feel like a superhero right now. Like the greatest moment of my life.
And then true story, I didn't see this until I woke up in the morning. I was taking notes. I was taking notes on my phone of Blower while this was happening. So I want to read it. Should I read it as I spelt it or what it should have said?
No, let's read it because Shane was in one at the time. So he grammar wasn't great, but it's funny as hell.
So I should read it how I spelt it. All right, I wrote, "Someone dripped their phone down a sewer. Blower and a random homeless guy picked the AUer up to get the phone. Blower picked the MF all up by himself to get it and save the day. Boys are thriving. Nashville. 2019 Fick Y Jav." The homeless guy said, "How NF did you do that?" And Blower said, "Boondoggle, I'm strong ad Fick." So
no, but basically he asked me, "How the fuck did you pick that thing up?" And I literally turned around, and there was a crowd of people around us cheering me on, and I flexed and said, "I'm strong as fuck."
That's a typical Blower
That is
move.
a true story.
Wow.
Total Blower move right there. I was in my prime right there. I was feeling good about myself, so I had to show off a little bit.
And that move right there didn't get you laid?
No, either way, I was trying to respect women.
I know.
So you know what? I wasn't even looking for ladies. That's the thing. Like,
really quick before we kind of get into things, what was your guys' favorite bar in Nashville?
Jason Aldean.
Yeah, Jason Aldean was my favorite bar.
I've been talking about it all week. Jason Aldean was a fucking amazing
We
bar.
tore that place apart.
That was my go-to when I blacked out, apparently.
That was where we met our twins.
Aldean.
We met the twins at Jason Aldean.
Jason Aldean and Florida Georgia Line were probably the best two bars there. I met my new best friend at Florida Georgia Line, Bryant something.
Oh, Bryant.
Crawford.
Crawford,
yeah. Great guy, big hunter. We are now Snapchat buddies, so yeah, that worked out well. But Florida Georgia Line was sick. Honestly, all the bars there are nice as hell. The Honky Tonk Central was unreal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially the entertainment there, great time. So Nashville all around, highly recommend it. So If you got the money, send it down there,
But come Sunday, there's some rough scaries, I'll tell you.
Oh, dude, the Sunday scaries in Nashville are rough.
Definitely worse than Michigan.
Yeah, you thought the Sunday scaries were bad back at home. When you're in Nashville and wake up on Sunday.
Let me tell you, these Sunday scaries lasted all the way till today, until I took that Pat Ron shot right after work. And
Pat
Ron. I know. That's what I call it.
Yeah, Patron.
Yeah, I know it's Patron.
Speak clearly to the listeners.
Yeah.
They don't know what you're talking about.
They'll figure it out. Anyway, now I feel better, but the scaries lasted all week.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm still getting hit by the scaries. I'm still not. My anxiety from Nashville has still not left, so it's rough. But
all right, needless to say, it was a fun trip.
Yeah, great time
for sure. Great weekend. I wish I could go back. I was hit with the realization today that, last week at this time, we were rolling down Broadway getting fucking bungied, so that was unfortunate, but hey, back to the real world, right?
All right, let's just get into it, Mr. Mazer.
Let's introduce our guest here. Yeah, we got a guest this week, so
I got my buddy from up at Davenport, played D2 Acha hockey with him, Chris Pakalnins. Welcome to the pod, buddy. Glad to have you finally.
Thanks for having me, boys.
The Honky Man is in the house. Love to see it. We're back.
Yeah, I mean, so everyone out there listening, when you hear us say the Honky Man, we're referring to Chris, okay?
Yeah, he's the Honky Man. And first off, I want to ask you, where did that name even come from? Because I always refer to you as the Honky Man, but I don't even know what the name means. So, I got to know now.
Right, yeah, that's fair. So, I guess we'll just start by setting the record straight. We'll get in front of this thing. So, obviously, there's some derogatory verbiage when you throw that word out there. So, again, just going on the record to set that straight. So, yeah, so the way the nickname came about. And this is kind of a wild story. So, I was actually so my last name Pakalnins. Guys have always called me Pachonks. That was just my nickname growing up playing hockey and stuff like that. So
Chonks?
Yeah. So
okay. Chonks. Oh, I think. Yeah. Okay.
So it's easy. Guys that have like easy last name like Mazer. Or Blower, stuff
Blower,
like that.
Yeah.
Kelly, you just call those guys by that name, but no one's calling you Chris or no one's calling you Pakalnins out there, so, couldn't pronounce the last name, so Pachonks landed in high school, and, so moving forward from there, I was just called Chonks, and, so this all originated from Faster Horses. I would say this is circa 2016.
F8 story, not going to be good.
Yeah, and obviously we've already covered that. Honky comes from its country roots. So about a week out, this is summer going into junior year, and I am playing golf in a course out in Hazlet, Michigan, which is like outside of the Lansing area, pretty close, right up the road. And I go in the ball looking for woods. I am a high handicap 20 plus golfer, so I was pulling them left and right all day. So
of course,
we're about I'd say 8 holes, 7-8 holes into an 18-hole round, and the ball inventory is diminishing. It's not looking too hot for the big guy. So
the Pro V ones are about gone.
Yeah. So we're on to rock flights and slashingers and your Meyer refurbished balls. So. I lose one in the woods. I'm thinking, this is just a hop, jump, and a skip right on the edge. To give you the ugly version, it was a poison oak, poison sumac, poison ivy, thriving in the woods that I jumped into. So,
yikes!
During that week, I developed a really, really bad case of poison ivy. We're 2 days into Faster Horses. I mean, we're sweating pretty bad. We're sweating the booze out, and obviously the sun beating down on you all day doesn't help. And I'm breaking out all my arms, my legs, like from head to toe.
Oh my god!
This poison ivy is just thriving. So my brain at the time, perfect, decision making after a couple of adult pops. I decided to go to Google whenever there's a medical issue. That's the one area where we all jump to first, right? Because Google has all the answers. So
of course,
and per usual, like my anxiety's through the roof. I'm freaking out because it's I am not in good conditions for this poison ivy right now. So my answer is, as long as these little, I guess, balls of pus that create during poison ivy, as long as those things don't spread, I think that we'll be good.
You're in the clear, right?
Absolutely. And my answer to that being that we're essentially camping was, you know what? I'll do a little country, the best thing I can. I'll take some toilet paper, wrap it around the poison ivy, and just duct tape right over it. So,
oh my god!
It's
like a redneck Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Basically.
So at that point, I got the nickname there. He's a hell of a honky for doing something like that at a country festival. So I also look like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, but that's a story for another time. But,
so that's where the Honky Man originated from.
So, and at that point, after 2 days of that therapy, it was official. I was certified Honkified after that.
Yeah,
so.
certified Honkified. I love it, man. Well, now that I know the story, I feel much better because I actually understand where it's coming from and stuff now. So that it's more understandable. I get it now, at least a little bit. I didn't expect the Honky Man to come from Poison Ivy or anything like that, but no, I still like it. And,
I definitely did not expect it to be a story like that.
No, not at all.
Love that.
So I was able to play hockey with Chris here for my sophomore season at Davenport. He's probably one of the best defensive partners I ever had. Can you tell us a little bit of how your hockey career started?
Yeah, so growing up east side of the state, did my house hockey up until later in my career when I first started playing travel out at Lakeland Ice Arena out in Waterford, Michigan. Shout out to that barn out there.
Beautiful.
That beautiful place.
Yeah.
So after that, I knew that I wanted to play for my high school. Just at that point, I was being real with myself and wasn't sure that the talent or work ethic at that point was going to be suitable for a tryout. So did my freshman, sophomore year, did travel at Lakeland. Junior year went out. Actually, sophomore, junior year went out for the JV prep team at the glorious school district of Heartland, Michigan, and ended up making JV junior year. From there, senior year, tried out for the varsity team. Ended up making the team, which it was a little bit of a surprise. I definitely think that I had my frame going for me, being 6'6", 200 pounds or whatever, and in high school that definitely that definitely helped a little bit. But yeah, so high school was pretty stagnant. I was a 7th, 8th D-man out there. Not a whole lot of playing time. I'm what the boys would call in the industry a grocery stick. So if you
hey, been there, done that, brother.
Yeah, so
Shane knows all about that. That's called green machine, baby.
Yeah, so for you guys that don't know, grocery stick, obviously on a bench you have your offense and defense. Just like you have your grocery order to the guys in front of yours at a checkout lane, and that grocery stick was me on the bench sitting between the offense and defense out there. So that's where we were sitting there my senior year. So
the real grinders right there, man. Those are the guys we love to see, though. So got to have you around, right?
Absolutely, and I think biggest thing that I brought, I mean, obviously, like outside of my size and one shift every other game, I think the biggest thing that I brought was was attitude. I would say is number one, first and foremost. I think given that amount of play time, or lack of, for that matter, I think it's really tough to keep a positive attitude, and I think that's one area where I was really strong in. So, and then obviously the second part, right, is the culture. Obviously building the program for the future, taking those reps, making sure you're laying everything out on the line, especially crosstown rivals like Howell and Brighton. You want to make sure you're showing up all business, even if the scoreboard doesn't say that. So,
yeah, but I got to say, you're probably one of the best locker room guys I've ever been around. And I don't know if you were like that in high school, but...
Yeah. So I could speak on that a little bit. So it's no secret right now that Heartland, after they went through some coaching changes and some development, they ended up producing some winning seasons. And as far as school records and stuff like that, a lot of those were broken. In the years past. So I will say that my senior year, I set a record. Not a lot of people know about this, but I was actually the only player with the shortest tenure for a Heartland hockey season that had completed both the red, blue, and yellow version of Pokemon on the bench in one season. So I'd like to go ahead and just chalk that up for the team. So I'm pretty sure I got a plaque right down the hall from the phys ed locker room. So
Oh, dude, that's huge for the program, man. You love to see it.
Yeah, I used to walk by that and it inspired me before every game. But
those Pokemon tokens.
moving
baby.
on after that, what did you do with hockey after high school?
yeah, so hockey was a little bit of a break. So after that, I had no interest in doing beer league, sticks and pucks at that point. I knew I wasn't going to further my career, so went to school, did that for about 2.5 years, and then I moved back home to Heartland. I relocated for a year out in Grand Rapids, and about that time, I'd say probably 3 years after my playing career, outside of maybe a pond game a year, if that, I started picking up some sticks and pucks, and then that turned into beer league, and then
Yikes.
yeah, so it's yeah,
Been there, done that. So
yeah, so it's obviously not obviously not ideal, but it's for me it was beer league was essentially that itch that you couldn't scratch, right? Like I still wanted to go out there once I got the wheels under me again, and I'm thinking like, man, it'd be great to just line someone up.
Hop on the Honky Express.
Well, sure, and I mean you obviously can't go out there and do that, and in a beer league, right? Like it's Wednesday, Thursday night, like everyone's got to work in the morning. Like you're not trying to put some, dump some 35-year-old into the boards and give him the CT. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna sleep at night doing that. So
yeah, no, you got to take it easy, right? I mean, it's beer league. You can't even fight in beer league, which is bullshit. You should be able to consider it as beer league, but hey.
And of course, I mean, will you have the one-off where you get some asshole out there like taking a run at people trying to drop the gloves? I mean, of course. I mean, you'll see that anywhere you go. I mean, moving forward from there, I mean, ideally, it's you want to protect yourself out there, and depending on what level of league you're playing, because there is an A, B, and C. I don't think hockey's has come as far to have a co-ed beer league, but there's tremendous females out there like Hillary Knight, bless her soul, U.S. women's team that are making a move for women in the hockey world, and I tip my hat to her. I mean, she's a hell of an athlete, and I support that 100%. Obviously, like to see that down the road. So
yeah, we love to see it.
Yeah. So beer league ripped that up, and then ended up running into a kid I played high school with, and then that led me to club hockey out at Davenport, where I met Mr. Mazer here.
Oh, yikes. That's where things went downhill, huh?
Well, that's where I first met you. I think end of my freshman year, I met this guy. He comes in, he moves up from the D3 team, right? And I'm like, God, this kid's a riot. I mean, he's fun to go out with, great locker room guy. We get out on the ice, and what a savage out there. I think the first shift you ever had, our coach goes, hey, we need you to go run some guys. So you fucking went beeline at him, and you fucking cross-check him from behind. Right? Am I wrong?
Take a 5 minute,
something
take
like
a
that.
5 minute and call it a day.
Yeah, so I mean, we're not going to pump my tires here. I'm not going to toot my own horn. I mean, my gameplay is is very, very night and day. It's like Tiger, winning the Masters here recently, and then showing up and dropping out of tournaments and shooting over par. That's the relevancy. I was either going out there and making a good play, taking care of the puck in the D zone, or I was just a goddamn liability out there. And at some points, it came down to coach pull me aside. He's like, hey, listen, asshole, like you want to shift out there, you're going to go out and run some piece of shit, running his mouth out there if you expect me to put you back out there. And, for me being the guy that I was bought in, he was sir, yes, sir. And, I would do what I had to do to pay the bills and get another shift out there.
Hey, you love to see it, man. You got to have those guys, those grinders out there that are just willing to lay their bodies on the line. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see a problem with it. So I know Shane was one of those guys.
So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of similar in that sense, but yeah, I'm not getting into my career.
Yeah, no one wants.
And then just to cap it off, let's talk a little more about your Davenport experience going out with the boys. I mean, my second season on the D2 team, when you were on the team the full season, it was a rough season. We were D partners for most of it, and we had a pretty good time back there.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a good time. I think that from an on-ice smart standpoint, I think that playing with you, being that you were one of the smartest guys on the team, it definitely forced me to, to get my shit together and be a little bit more dialed in and calculated out there, both in practice and in games. And being that you were one of the better skaters on the team from a fundamental standpoint, that that also was the second part to the gut check that that definitely had me to step up the pace to continue to keep up and compete at that level.
Yeah, I mean, nobody could skate backwards like you. I mean, you were fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. Like, I was all over the place. I was like the Whomping Willow in Harry Potter. I was just a big tree out there, just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
What's your backward skating 40 time? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, how much have we had to drink before? Yeah,
a few brewskis. Where are we at? Couple road pops.
But all in all, great time. I had a great experience with you at Davenport, but we'll move on here. And
well, I just want to know how the career ended, if that's all right.
Yeah, would you like to bring up how you ended your career at Davenport?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, depending on who you talk to, it's very, very controversial. So I would say it was the second to last game of the season. Yeah. We had played I think we were on the road or something like that. I think we just had gotten back from a long bus ride, and our last regular season game was a crosstown rival, being Grand Valley State University, and we were hungover pieces of shit going into that road weekend, and we came back just absolutely fucking torn up. Played like shit. We got our shit pushed in, and here we go. It's practice. So we do Monday practice, and coach, he wasn't going to be there the next day. He had some family stuff, so he left the accountability on our assistant coaches to run practice, which that had happened before, and we had a very strict regimen. We had a coach ran a tight show. So going into Wednesday morning practice, the boys had Tuesday off, so we're absolutely fucking hungover, and the last thing we want to do is get out there and warm up. So boys took a beating that weekend, lot of hits that road weekend. So we thought that it'd be it would be in the best interest for not only a production standpoint, but just for all in all body recovery. Boys need to get out there on center ice before practice and and stretch it out, just do some stretches. So during this time, we had an assistant coach ripping one-timers on the other end. He was a right-handed shot, so I was in his ear a little bit. I was chirping him, letting him know, hey, Stamkos, why don't you hit the net? Because he'd be there taking a one-timer. You just, hear one of those just ringing him off the boards in the glass. So, I don't think that he appreciated it where I had taught, coming from me, which I thought that we had a better relationship than that. So I guess for all you listeners out there, don't count your chickens before they hatch. I thought that we had a little bit better relationship, and it was a subtle chirp, and that ended up turning into us motherfucking each other. And he's like, "Yo, yeah, you think you're fucking funny? Why don't you go take a lap?" And I couldn't help but laugh. Yeah, I mean, he was, again, I respect the fuck out of the guy. We have a good relationship. He was the film coach doing this, so if that says anything, so it was really difficult to take that feedback, which I think looking back, I definitely would have handled that a lot better. And my reaction at the time being being my hungover self, I told him hey, not a fucking chance, buddy, and. Coach didn't like that so much. So where he left off with the team, making sure that we kept the same integrity that we had going into the road trip weekend. Making sure that everyone keeps that in his absence. Unfortunately, I thought that wasn't carried out on the coaching staff's end, and I felt that would be a good time to be vocal and express that. And it bit me in the ass a little bit. So.
So we're leave it at that.
No,
in the ass, or
then I think it was a pregame skate, right before we went into the GV weekend. Coach kind of called you out a little bit in the locker room in front of all the boys.
Yeah, so he did call me out. Coach, Coach asked me what the fuck was going on. Why I disrespected him. Him being his assistant coach / film coach extraordinaire, wanted to know what the hell the deal was, and I told him what I said, and I said that he told me that it wasn't, that was a bullshit excuse. I shouldn't, be disrespecting a coach like that while he was gone. I went out and I apologized and all that stuff, and that wasn't good enough. So once I let the dust settle, the coaches were in the locker room. Being that the man that I am, and being that the integrity that I had, I took it upon myself. I said, okay, I'm gonna swallow my pride, and I'm gonna go into the office, and I'm gonna just apologize to the film coach in front of the head coach, in front of the assistant coach. I'm gonna keep it brief, sound like very, very calculated, and I go in there. I swallow my pride. I go in there like a fucking dog with my tail between its legs. Like I just chewed up a fucking brand new art van sofa, 50% off. And, I told him that I was sorry. And, coach fired right back at me, just letting me know about, how much of a fucking piece of shit I was and all this stuff. And, and at that point I was a little triggered, right? Because at this point, like, I mean, my fucking manhood and my dignity had just been stripped walking through that gate, into hell. And I think that from an approach standpoint, by him firing back like that, again, did not receive that feedback as well as I thought. And I went out to saying, I gave, looking back now, what I think was a little bit of a smart ass remark. I said, Coach, I understand where you're coming from. I see it from your perspective. However, I thought that Mr. Film Coach did not carry that level of integrity that you asked from us. Going into this weekend, which it's a huge weekend, and I thought that it was very disrespectful towards you that he's out there ripping one timers while we're trying to mentally prepare and get in the right mindset, coming off a weekend where we got shelled, going into this crosstown rivalry weekend. So in the end, he ended up at that point, he ended up cussing me out, told me to get the fuck out of his office, go back in the locker room, pat my shit, and that I was fucking done. So that's all she wrote for there. I came back out in the locker room, and I don't know what I look like, but I'm sure all the color was gone from my face. I look like fucking Casper the Friendly Ghost, deer in headlights, and the boys are like, Maze looks at me and he's like Chunks, what the fuck happened in there? And I looked at everyone, and I just looked around the room, and I took a minute to pause, and I was like, boys, like I'm fucking done. And they're like, what do you mean you're done? And then coach comes out and says, get my motherfucking shit out right now. Like, don't talk to them, don't look at them. And that was all she wrote. So
yeah, you said, see you later, DU boys, call it a day.
I just remember you beelined it to your locker, and you grabbed your bag out of the stall and you started packing your shit, and then fucking coach comes out. He fucking rips you out of there, and then that was it. But
oh, dude, that is the funniest DU story I've ever heard.
I mean, lesson learned there, like, if anyone listening is in a similar situation, I would not have that conversation publicly in front of the other coaches. I think that's definitely a one-on-one that you need to have with that, with your coach to express the frustration. I also want to set the record straight to let you know that since then we've kissed and made up, and my coach and I are boys. Like, we respect the shit out of each other. At that point, it was a business call that he had to make, and I respect the shit out of him. And I think that me being vulnerable and expressing how I handled that situation at the time was immature. And we've moved forward since then. We've caught up. We've done some golf league and some extracurriculars and stuff. So I mean, we're definitely in a lot better spirits out there.
Hey, at least you made up, man. That's all that matters.
That's a hell of a way to go out, honestly.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you're gonna go out anyway, you tell how you feel and say, "See you later, boys." So that's good. I like it. I mean, at least you were an honest man.
And then just to wrap that story up, I just remember playing the last couple of games there, and you showed up in a full suit, banging on the glass, fucking just ripped out of your mind, just fucking wasted, right? Or no?
Yeah, so I can neither confirm nor deny, but the dress code was that you showed up to all games in full suit and tie, and I made sure that I followed suit, no pun intended. And yeah, I went there and I wanted to support the boys, so I came in full suit, and there were a couple guys from other teams there supporting the team, and we were in the corner in the other team's ear all game. So while I couldn't be supportive on the bench, I think that that definitely lifted the boys up a little bit. I think my presence in the corner just in the other team's ears. So so that was definitely that.
It helped out at the end of the day. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. All right, so moving on.
Yeah,
Mr.
let's get
Kelly,
this
go
puppy
ahead.
rolling.
Yeah, we're not even in segment 1, boys. Yikes. It's going to be a long one today. Nothing wrong with that. But
Should we get into segment 1? Or?
yeah, we might as well just roll on to segment 1. So, Honky, I don't know if we can really talk about this too much, but you got a new place of employment, correct?
Yeah, yep, that's correct.
So, yeah, you're moving on to bigger and better things. We're happy to hear it. And so, going into the 9 to 5, what are your expectations here? I mean, is it worth being stable, or would you rather pursue, pursue your dreams and just do what you want? I guess that's my question for you. Is it better to work the 9 to 5 and be stable, or is it better to, pursue your dreams, do what you want, and maybe have some issues along the way? What do you think? Because you have more experience than we do.
Sure, and I'd say to each his own, right? In this position that I'm going to be in moving forward, it's going to be more of a regular 9 to 5 where it's very competitive. I was in an industry that was also extremely competitive, before this. Excuse me. I think that working the hours that I did, in a competitive sales environment, it is cutthroat. It is a performance-based culture, and that's absolutely what I signed myself up for. So I think circling back to answer that, I think to each his own. I think it comes down to what your goals are long term, how you want to position yourself financially, and is time of the essence? Are you someone that likes that 9 to 5 structure, and you're happy going into work, and you could work 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and you could also be very, very happy doing that. So I've seen the corporate side of things, and now I'm taking a step back, and I think that this more of this 9 to 5 structure, I see myself being happy long term, and it's a combination again of that financial stability, and and obviously what makes you happy. Is it investing that time into to your work, or is it spending time with friends and family, having more of a regular 9 to 5, so to speak, structure?
No, I like that. That's a very good answer. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, would you rather have structure, or would you rather, do what you want kind of thing and hope for the best? So
I don't want to be working the 2 to close grind at the Glen for the rest of my life.
Not forever,
that shift
right?
sucks.
Yeah, it's not a lifetime deal, but you gotta do what you gotta do, and it is what it is, and that's I've been. Since high school, I've been working, the 9 to 5 grind. Not necessarily 9 to 5, but it is tough, man. Coming straight out of high school and going into that shit, it sucks. But at the same time, I like that structure of, knowing what's going on Monday through Friday. I know what my schedule is, that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's every day I got to get up and go to work. So, I mean, you got to explore your options, right? And like you said, to each their own. So, I mean, whatever works best for you. It's that kind of thing. And financial stability is another huge thing. So, when you find a job that actually supports what you're doing or what you want to do in life, I mean, that's huge too. So, if you get something that's financially stable and that you can, live off of and that kind of thing, even when you're young, whether it's in your field or not, it's ideal, right? I mean, Mr. Mazer, you're working on a golf course. Not exactly ideal. I don't mean to call you
not
out.
Ideal.
Not exactly
Thanks,
ideal,
buddy.
but you're still getting it done, right? And you're working your fucking ass off.
Oh, I'm figuring it out. I'm just having a little fun while I'm still in college here. I'm gonna figure it out afterwards, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully get into medical sales here in a little bit, and then we'll take off. Yeah. Or maybe the Fist podcast will take off before that. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, after this Appy.
And I mean, I'd love to obviously hear from you boys too, right? So I know talking to Shane here and Blower Mazer here before the show, I think that the industry that you guys are pursuing with medical sales, and you're doing different purchasing, if I'm not mistaken, and blower that you're in engineering. Do you see, from a trend? Obviously, I've recruited prospective talent, and I want to get your perspective on it. Like, I feel that the industry that you decide that you want to move into, it's night and day compared to other degree fields that you could pursue, where it almost requires and demands you to work more hours. Like there isn't a 40-hour work week. It's more a 50-hour work week, and typically speaking, you're getting paid more for that. So I guess my question to you guys is, if it's a difference between making 15, 20K a year. I mean, you guys are at this point now where you're younger in your life. Like, for you, is it that financial stability? Like, are you looking to just grind out and make a name for yourself and grow with the company, like, right out the get-go? Or do you think that pursuing a 9-to-5 is something that's going to, keep you sane and keep you happy at the end of the week?
And well, see, that was one thing where, I still don't know if I might have messed up, might not have. In, like, straight out of high school, I started taking classes at, like, a community college and stuff, and I was working full-time as well. And so I've been working full-time at my job for 3 years now. And, the biggest thing is you can't always expect everything to work out, because, like, especially when I first got into my job, things were great. And, like, I was getting benefits and stuff, and, like, there was all this shit that went along with it. And then you just never know what's going to happen, because sometimes work slows down, and then you don't have that financial stability anymore. You're not making quite as much as money. You lose some things that come along with it, and, like, that's something you got to keep in mind, especially at my age, because I went into this job thinking, I'm going to make a career out of this. I might not even have to go to school, kind of thing, and you just never know what's going to happen. So, like, that's a big thing that I've learned now later in life. And looking back, I wish I would have had the knowledge that I have now, but, like, I really think if you can find, especially a job in your field, getting experience in your field is super important, but get a degree. Like, if I could go back, like, I wish I would have went to school off the bat, just because, especially with engineering, like, that
need a degree.
Yeah, exactly. That degree says so much, because companies won't even hire you without a degree. And, like, luckily, I got a position where, I was able to get in there without a degree and basically become an apprentice and kind of learn on the job kind of thing while I was going to school. But, like, if I could go back, I would definitely go to school right off the bat, just so I could get that out of the way, figure out what I'm doing. And then if I find stability along the way, that would be ideal. But also, like, you just never know what's going to happen. So,
and the shitty part is, you would think that having experience is better than a degree.
Yeah,
but
that's what you think.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just not how the world is, I guess. Now, you need that degree to basically prove that you're capable of doing the work, when you would think that having experience in the field is way better.
That's the society that we live in. I mean, if you ask me, I think that most people that go to college really shouldn't be going to college. They should be doing something different. I mean, that might be a biased opinion, but, like, that's just the way I feel about it. And I think that, like, it's generalized now that when you graduate from high school, that's what you do. You go to college, like, you go get your degree. And so that's what most people do. And, like, in my case, I chose differently there, and, like, now I'm realizing the repercussions, but I also have other opportunities as well. So, I mean, you kind of gotta pick and choose what works out best for you, and I think following what you really like is the most important, but also you got to do something that's going to be monetary beneficial for you as well.
And that really screws kids over too, because they go to college, they see everyone else around them is going to college. They're like, oh, I have to go to college, so I'll just go. I have no clue what I want to do, but I'll just go spend $25,000 on going to college, and maybe I'll figure something out. And they get through college and have no clue what they want to do.
Well, and they got a general studies degree or something like that, or, like, liberal arts, or something. Like, no offense to anyone that's in liberal arts or anything, but, like, what are you really going to do with that degree? Like, how are you going to actually make money out of that? Like, where are you going to apply that so that you can actually do something in the real world kind of thing? And that's really where I think, like, the most beneficial thing is when you go to school and get a degree and things like that. But
Well, while
Again.
we're on the topic of that, I mean, a lot of the classes and courses you take in your degree, you know, your field and everything, if you're taking classes that have nothing to do with what you're about to do.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, general education. That's like the majority of the classes you take in your first 2 years. They're just it's gen ed. It's all basic classes that
It's like
most
money
people
makers.
take. Yeah,
It's really a money maker.
and you know I hate to say it, but unfortunately, I listened to a podcast recently that featured Bernie Sanders, and he talked about the basically paying for college tuition and things in the future for kids and like making it cheaper and things like that. I'm not saying I'm voting liberal socialism or anything like that, but it's like he just made a lot of very good points about how expensive college is, and like now basically it's expected in society for kids to go to college and put themselves in debt. Basically, and like everyone is expected to put themselves in, $50,000 to $100,000 in debt minimum just to get this piece of paper that says they're qualified to do a job.
Yeah. Hey, Mom, I did it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's like a pat on the back, like, hey, you made it through. Like you did all this shit to get where you are, and now you got to compete with everybody else, and hopefully you have experience to go along with it. So, it either works out or it doesn't. And, the Honky Man said it great himself, to each their own. You got to do what you think is best for yourself. So that at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. And, there's a lot more to life though than just working the 9 to 5, man. And I always think about that. Cause like, I have a stable life in a job and things like that. But I always think about like, what if I were to do something different? You look at guys like Dan Bilzerian, like this guy is just living an absolute dream life. He's got a yacht, he's got a private jet, he's got all this stuff, and he literally made the majority of his money playing poker. And we wish we could all do that, and it's not idealistic for all of us, but wouldn't it be fucking great? Like,
where did his money come before that? I mean, you got to think about that.
He probably had a little bit of daddy's money.
Exactly, and that's my point.
He probably had a little bit of daddy's money, but either way,
So for those of you who have daddy's money, choose wisely what you do with it. Don't go fucking blow it all. At least he took the smart choice. Well, not really smart. He gambled it, but
he gambled
got lucky.
But he's a fucking good ass gambler. Yeah. And then he took that money that he gambled with, and he put it towards something. He invested in it, and he's got 4 or 5 different companies that he's running right now, social media marketing and things, and like he's making money so many other places.
Oh, absolutely.
And, like, Ignite Cannabis is like his most recent startup, and it's big. I don't know the exact statistics, but like it's the biggest CBD and cannabis distributing company in the U.S. right now.
Yeah,
like
it is,
so he's doing very good things with his money, and he kind of figured it out, and like that's why he's doing so well for himself. But like you just think about it. It all came from a hobby, basically. He was playing poker. He was following something that he really liked, and it turned into something great. And that's like something I always debate with myself. Is it better to just sit back, take that structural lifestyle, or chase what you really want and just fucking hope for the best? And you might fall on your ass. You might win.
And you give it, 2-3 years in a niche industry like cannabis sales and CBD sales, right?
Yeah.
Like that just puts his whole poker earnings, on the back burner. Sure,
yeah.
I mean he's he obviously thrived doing a combination of online gambling and some poker rooms, but you find that you find that hunch that something inside of you telling you to pursue this, and obviously in that industry where it's very lucrative, you figure out that there's money to be had and money to be made in there. And I think that, granted, he did have, I'm sure, some assets on his end where he could invest into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that you look at the return on investment, and
of course, that's really what it's about, right? When you put money into anything, you're looking for the outcome. Basically, you're looking for what you're going to get back to it, or what you're going to get back from it. And obviously, he found the right places to put his money, and we all hope to be as smart as this guy is, or as lucky as this guy is, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, that's just one example. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that have pursued their dreams and done very well for themselves, and there's also plenty of people that have worked the 9 to 5, worked their way up, and grinded through their lives, and also done very well for themselves. I mean, it's all the path that you choose, really, but you got to do what you like, man. And I think the most important thing at the end of the day is finding something that you love to do and making a monetary benefit out of it. And if you can find something like that, especially if you don't feel like you're going to work every day and grinding your ass off, that kind of thing, where it's more of like you're putting something towards society and you can make money off of it and do well for yourself, that is ideal. And so, everyone's not going to find something like that, but like that's the ideal situation. I think that's what we're all striving for. So,
and while we're on the topic of a niche industry, what in the fuck happened with our Lions and our supposedly phenomenal D-line this weekend?
Lots of money invested.
I'll tell you exactly what happened.
Pride, baby.
Wait, 31-3, right? Was that the final?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll just get right into it. So,
I just wanted to make sure.
The Detroit Lions had their first preseason game. Let me emphasis on preseason. Matthew Stafford didn't start. Half their team didn't start. So that is, and they lost to the Patriots 31-3. But
Jim Braden play? I didn't.
No. Tom Brady didn't play a snap.
I refer to Tom Brady as Jim Braden, by the way. So.
And so, listening to the show, I wouldn't say that I'm an expert with the Lions. Like, sure, I'm a weekend supporter. Just give me an excuse to have a couple adult pops with the guys. But from my understanding, listening to the show previous weeks, it sounds like they made a push for some recruiting on the D end in the off season. So that's why it was a little bit of a shock.
Well,
you're not playing your top guys in the.
Well, yeah, they
right?
didn't even half their starting D line didn't even dress. So I've actually so many people have asked me today about the Lions, and I said I am not worried one bit. It's the preseason, week 1 in preseason. Come on, talk to me in week 7 of the regular season, and they have a 5-2 record. I would love to have a conversation about the Lions then.
0-7. But yeah, same thing.
How about Tom Savage? He looked a little better than Stafford.
Okay, not gonna lie,
I
actually watched videos of Tom Savage because I didn't even know who the hell this guy was before the season. And, I looked up, like, who is the backup quarterback here? And it's Tom Savage.
Did you see him scramble?
Yeah.
Nothing like I've ever seen. Stafford's fat ass could not move that quick.
Yeah, because Stafford doesn't fucking truck 2 Titans defenders on one fucking run. Yeah.
Nope. No, that was actually the same exact video I watched. I watched this guy running, and I was like, he's so much better than Stafford. Like,
it's
he was throwing darts out there.
It's actually comical that you guys actually think that he couldn't even put up a touchdown against the Patriots' second team defense.
Okay, but
Brady could or Stafford could.
Yeah, he didn't play. Stafford would have tore that defense up, dude.
He would have overthrown.
Okay,
everything.
obviously you guys
even with his broken back.
Okay, you guys obviously did not watch. Did you watch the game? Obviously you did not.
I watched a lot of it. Yeah.
I watched the highlights.
Okay,
Wait, who is this Tom Savage guy? Like, where'd he come from?
He came from Houston.
Houston, an absolute shit show. 4th round draft pick.
I mean, not as much of a shit show as that comb over. Holy shit!
Yikes! You need to get that receding hairline.
Yeah. So all I want to say is, were you guys watching when Tom Savage would hold on to the ball 8 seconds and then take a sack? Like Stafford would have ripped that ball out of there, but
no, one time.
I can't even have an argument with you right now.
Moving forward, they're gonna go. What did we say? Like 4-12,
10-6 or 11-5.
I'm sorry, 4-12.
On a good day. You know what? Honest to God, though, I really because I talk so much shit about the Lions, but I am a Lions fan at the end of the day.
Bullshit. Nope.
I am a Lions fan at the end of the day, and I hope for the best for them. I'm just so sick and tired of being let down by these motherfuckers. Like, put something together, and I will be so happy to cheer for you guys, but when you get an 0-16 season, then they can't even win 50% of their games most of the time. Like, I just can't support them that much.
And Shane, I have no idea. I'm actually curious. Why was Matt Patricia fucking wheeling himself around?
He hurt his. He hurt his leg. I know that. I don't know if it was like his.
Is that like a preview to like the Lions injuries this season?
Yeah, he tore his labia.
Well, I don't know if you saw.
That's what I figured.
I don't know if you saw on the first drive of the game, Lions receiver that they just signed, free agent Jermaine Kearse.
Yeah.
He got carted off the field in the boot, really, so he's out for the. I don't know. I don't even know what happened. I'm guessing either his Achilles or ACL or something with his knee, but he's definitely done. Because he got carted off in the boot, so
that's so typical of the Lions. Though I feel like every time they draft someone or pick someone up that's really good, like preseason or second game of the season, they're out. Like,
Well,
they
that's
get
what
injured,
I forgot who I was watching the game with last night, but he said something about Patricia limping around or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, this is a preview to their season," and sure as shit, Chris gets fucking knocked out, and he's like, "Yup." And I'm
What?
like,
See you later.
That's why I hate.
Adios.
That's why I hate preseason. I was literally just having a conversation with my dad about this. I said I think they should make the preseason where they don't tackle the quarterback, where they just kind of wrap the like a practice.
Put a red shirt on him.
Yeah,
almost,
exactly.
yeah.
That's honest to God. Because what is tackling the quarterback? Like, why do you need to do
Well, I
that in
think
the
preseason's
preseason?
fucking stupid.
I agree. I do not like preseason at all.
Preseason should literally be one game, and then they should get.
We'll
into
just
the
have
real
a
season.
controlled practice.
Yeah,
And
like,
don't
that's
film
what-
it.
'cause,
Don't
like-
fucking put it broadcast.
Because teams like the Lions and Patriots, they'll have a joint practice.
right,
They
that's
have joint
fine.
practice. Just have that. I don't.
And I get preseason might be like a moneymaker or whatever
That's
the fuck
really.
they do with it.
It's
but-
got to be about the.
Well,
money,
the what preseason is just a tryout. Preseason is the tryouts for the guys that are just trying to make that 53-man roster and not be on the practice squad.
Is that, so there's 53 guys on the actual roster that goes on the team. So they have 90 guys out there for the preseason? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Something like that, like 90 guys. So basically they have like their four stringers out there. They're just trying to put on a show and basically get a spot on the team. So, and I understand that, but at the same time, like, you're risking guys getting hurt in games that mean absolutely nothing. And, like, that's why most of the guys that are actually important don't even play.
Yeah, that's why you're seeing more and more that the star players don't even play in preseason. And that's how it should be, honestly.
And you have a team like the Lions where they have a track record of injuries. I mean, we're talking guys celebrating and tearing their ACL after a touchdown,
Steven Toll,
you get one of your O-line guys that they fucking sneeze on the bench and they blow their back out, career-ending injury, right? So we're talking about the preseason, which is, in my opinion, where again I'm not a football expert, but from a viewer standpoint, is about as irrelevant as a football, NFL All-Star game. I think guys are buying into the fact that they're trying to make that cut. Like, they don't want to be one of the guys that don't make the practice squad, right?
Exactly.
Like, so they're laying everything on the line, and they look at that. They look at the quarterback or they look at the opposing players. They're like, hey, like we're all scrambling here. We're all grinding it out on the bottom of the list, and anyone in our position, our ass is on the line to get dropped. So
Yeah, they're just looking for a spot at the end of the day. And I definitely understand that, but again, like I said, you're just risking injury at that point. And like I've always thought the preseason was stupid, and I get it. It's for the fans and things. You get an idea of where your team is going to go this year. You get to see a little bit, but let's cut it down. Like I don't understand the point of having a four game preseason and then a 16 game regular season. Like, figure it out, NFL. Roger Goodell, you fucking suck in the first place. Figure it out, buddy.
I just saw something today. Antonio Brown said he just told like the NFL or whoever that he's never playing football again unless he gets his old helmet back.
I saw that. Yep, I did see
AB,
that.
man, that guy. AB can literally do whatever he wants.
He
That
fucking
guy,
hates
yeah.
Oakland right now. I
Dude.
guarantee it. And I think I saw some about it, how he's fucking miserable there.
As him and Odell was miserable in Cleveland, but he's having a
Well,
good time.
Baker
And-
Mayfield's putting him in his fucking place,
Did you
which
see
I
what-
love to fucking see
Did
that.
you see what he said the other day? I think ESPN posted something about it. All Baker Mayfield said in an interview was, "We're going full send this season." So I can't wait to see the Browns in the Super Bowl.
That was an interview with Barstool.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, did you see him fucking gun that beer?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
dude. He
that was-
slammed
that was
beer.
unreal.
Wow.
Guy's a beauty. He put it down quicker than
He's
Stafford.
winning the Super Bowl this year.
He popped the hole in it with his
Yeah.
tooth, the
Yeah.
shotgun it.
No, that was actually very impressive. I believe that was at one of the baseball game, Cleveland Browns game, or not Browns, excuse me, Indians game. And Baker Mayfield's absolute beauty. My favorite GIF of all time, or GIF, I don't know what it is. Either way, favorite of all time is the one of Baker Mayfield grabbing his nuts.
Yeah.
And the greatest thing ever. I love it. So, yeah. And then also, this is, taking a step away from the NFL, but Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. This is boxing here. Excuse me. Andy Ruiz. I don't even know how to say his last name. He's currently the first Mexican heavyweight champion of all time in boxing. and he beat Anthony Joshua a couple months ago, or it might have been last month. And they're actually going to have a rematch in December, and this is huge because like Ruiz went into this fight with like 3 weeks notice and knocked out Anthony Joshua, who was the current champion at the time. Yeah. And the guy, like, if you see him, absolute freak athlete. Like, the two don't even compare to each other, but it's crazy that Ruiz won. And then he was actually just on a podcast, and it was phenomenal. So,
yeah, and I know that's being taken place in Saudi Arabia. So, I mean, I'm excited to see who comes out on top. I think Anthony Joshua will win, but who knows?
I mean, we'll find out because Anthony Joshua supposedly got dropped in like training not even a week before the fight, and he was having some issues, and then like it was very apparent when he was in the ring that obviously he either wasn't stable or he had something else going on because he just wasn't that great, like as far as conditioning, I guess we could say. He wasn't that very well conditioned. He was having some issues, keeping his breath kinds of things, and he got dropped a few times, and just no one expected it, basically. But Ruiz, he's a great fighter, quick hands, great counterpuncher. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But supposedly they're going to fight again in December, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
All right, we're going to get out of sports.
Yeah. Well, what do we got next?
All right, so, real quick, I do want to talk about this. So, ice, pink lemonade, New Amsterdam vodka. Those three things have fueled the Fist podcast all summer. It's the Pink Whitney. It's a drink that not only defines class and luxury, but also the pursuit of a happier lifestyle. This drink, it's fantastic. Gas and Pink Wit should be, or with your crew, should be on the itinerary every chance you get this summer. And New Amsterdam just made it a lot easier with their new Pink Whitney Pink Lemonade vodka, sponsored by Spit and Chicklets. These guys have turned a vision to a reality, and they're giving the public what they truly deserve. So starting September 1st, keep your eyes open for the Pink Whitneys at your local Eagle Express or K. Roger, wherever you get your booze at, because this masterpiece of a cocktail will be on sale for you yourself. But until then, keep living ultra.
All right, so basically, I've never read this Florida Rest of the Week, but you guys put it in there. So the news headline: Florida man masturbating in Walmart parking lot grabbed officers behind during arrest. Let me just feel it. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that's the headliner.
Oh my God.
He just said, let me just feel it,
Let's
please.
let Honky read this off.
So, just for the sake of the title, we're going to, I mean, you could Google it, but for this guy's dignity, we're just going to leave his name off this. But this gentleman of Pensacola was detained last Saturday by an officer from the Escambia County Sheriff's Office who responded to the North Navy Boulevard Walmart just after 4:30. Apparently, there was a complaint that was filed about indecent exposure. The 19-year-old suspect, who is listed as homeless in jail records, allegedly made a number of lewd comments towards the officer and resisted arrest before attempting to flee the area. Moving forward from here, it looks like the officer said that the suspect at hand grabbed his arms and his behind. He allegedly tried to punch the officer and ran off on foot, which he was quickly caught after fleeing behind the Walmart and was detained. So this is a very, very, this is going to that dark place, right? Like, it's one thing, like, you get streakers, you get the occasional flash or something like that, but for an individual to have the audacity to just start choking the chicken when it's in the presence of such a well-respected and a discount thriving attraction to the community, this being Walmart, how does one bring themselves to decide that rubbing one out on a weekday in a Wally World parking lot is the best judgment choice?
The man was just hanging some brain. I don't get what's all the fuss about.
You know what?
You never beat off in a Walmart parking lot?
I'm gonna guess he had to be under the influence of some methamphetamine or the heroin, but that's just my take. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I think as men, right? Like we've all been in situations where we have an urge, you know, and we need to take care of it, right? But I think that it comes down to a combination of
know your
mental
surroundings
stability and time and place, and I don't know that. Which there was even a video released, some guy that threw a sheet over him on an airplane and started, yanking the old chain. You guys
Just getting after it.
Yeah, you guys see that? So
No, I didn't see that one, but
Nope.
you know what? Some people just can't handle themselves, man. You gotta keep your dick in your fucking pants.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
That was aggressive, but I'm just being honest.
I mean, I guess while we're on that topic, we should get into our next segment. Man,
Yeah,
I guess
really?
we've kind of already spoke about in a way. We got a girl's opinion. I believe that was that episode.
Yeah.
We got Morgan's opinion on how to pick up girls.
How to pick up girls, how to pick up guys, that whole different thing. But, being in a bar situation.
We're not trying to pick up too many dudes.
No, obviously
so.
not. But, in a bar situation, talking about bars, talking about how to pick up females. I mean, I think we should touch base on that, especially with the Honky Man being here. I mean, he's the god. So what do we think?
Take a shot of tequila. Hope I don't puke.
Yeah, so I guess let's just start. When you see a cute girl at the bar that you want to go talk to, how would you approach her? Just go up and start just shooting the shit?
Chris? What do you
Like
think?
or do you lead off with some you don't lead off with some corny pickup line.
I get so like.
well, now you have me curious. I want to know what the female's perspective of this was like before we get into this.
Well, that's a kind of hard question. Like, if you throw a girl a pickup line, or is she gonna be like, get the fuck out here, buddy, or is she gonna eat that shit up, kind of thing? Like, do pickup lines actually work in your experience? I guess we'll ask.
I think this is this falls in the topic kind of where we were wrapping up with the whole job thing. I think to each his own. I think that you need to assess early on in both some successes and some failures what your strengths and weaknesses are and play to those. Not everyone is going to be able to be as approachable, as forward, and as transparent as other people, and I think respecting that line is key to ensure that, one, you're not coming off in an aggressive or creepy way, and if you're in a position where you might have somebody in the picture and you're looking to help the guys out that night, that you're not doing them a disservice, right? Because if you come off as aggressive, if you come off as creepy, and then you are hanging around and associating yourself with with a group of guys that night that you're trying to help get
You're
laid,
a wingman, yeah.
It's you got to pick and choose your battles at that point.
So, Chris, do you have any pickup lines? I mean, any set pickup lines you've ever used or ever?
Here we go.
Maybe given to the boys to use.
This is the gold right here. This is what we came here for.
So, and to go off what I was saying, to each his own. I think that I'm not in a position myself to where I'm using like corny pickup lines. So I think obviously today we can resort to social media, right? Like we have dating apps where it's a little bit more acceptable to throw a corny pickup line out there. Have I done it at some point in time in life? Sure, but do I think that that's the best approach in a public situation? Probably not. But
Negative.
Again, this is where you need to assess your strengths and your weaknesses early on.
So I just want to bring this up. I had a little trouble on Tinder for a little bit.
Oh,
back,
no.
Back when I think it was my sophomore year when we were playing hockey together. And I talked about this on the podcast before. So I copy and paste the same message on Tinder every single time. And this is what you came up with probably, 3 years ago? So, or it goes, wow, so what does a guy like me have to do with a girl to get with a girl like you? And then like hard eyes. I've used that same pickup line for years, and it's never doubted me.
He literally
came up
does.
with that.
Every single time he'll like have
Copy
a
and
conversation with a girl on Tinder or Bumble, he'll send us a screenshot of how he started it off, and it's, what does a guy like me have to do to get with a girl like you?
So I just want to give you a little credit there.
Yeah. So and again, this is where you could say something. You can say something juvenile. You could say something that's. I mean, we had a teammate that got actually messaged. The girl reached out first, and she said, boxers, briefs, or whitey tighties, which he was. At that point he didn't know what to say, so he just simply responded with, whichever way you like it, baby girl. And her response was, I want to paint you green and spank you like a disobedient avocado. So, I mean, if you shoot your shot, make sure that you have like a follow-up, right? Because if you start going to those places, I mean, and where that one was a dead end, like, I mean, you very well could offend somebody. You very well, like, not, you might not set your cards, you might not set your cards up or set that situation up really well. And it's going to be an exchange of one or two sentences, and then it's, it kind of dies out from there. So
you always got to have something to say after you send that initial pickup line, I guess.
Sure. I mean, I think confidence is key, but also be respectable. I don't think that there's an issue with the example that Mazer brought out, where you can, show confidence, but be humble. Like if you're approaching in a manner where you're not coming off really, really cocky, you don't come off condescending. If you play humble a little bit, make it about them, I think that could be advantageous. But again, this is where I circle back to each his own. Whatever works for you. I mean, regardless whether you're at the bar, whether it's whether it's a conversation in person or a conversation through message, I mean, pick your battles. If you're gonna shoot your shot, make sure you buy into whatever direction you're going. So.
All right. Well, I mean, we can probably test some of this out tonight at the bar since we're going with it. You can give us a little advice. Let's talk a little bit about coming up with fake identities when you're out on the road. Blower, I think you have a little experience this past weekend in Nashville with that. You want to touch a little base on that?
Blower had a few fake identities this weekend.
Married, fucking lawyer.
Yeah, my first fake identity, because as we discussed earlier, I wasn't in a relationship, but I was talking to a girl, trying to be respectful, committed, that kind of thing. And
good.
Thank you. And so we told.
Thank you. Next.
Yeah, we told multiple groups of females that came up and approached us that I was a bachelor and that I was getting married, and so they totally bought it too. Like, they all thought that we were literally down there for my bachelor party. I was like, yeah, I got a wife at home, this kind of shit, and they ate it up because the boys were rolling and they were just picking up all the loose scraps. So. They loved that. And then my other ploy was that I was a lawyer, just graduated from law school, just passed my bar exam, and I was down there just celebrating, basically. So,
well, how that started is before we went out that night, we actually called Honky and we're like, okay, so what do we say to, like, get girls? He goes, you can't just do the normal, yeah, we're here for a bachelor party. You got to come up with something. Oh, I work on Wall Street or something, like something along those lines. So we went with that Blower's a lawyer. Kyle, you were a banker, or you were Will was a banker, and then I was like commercial real estate or something like that. And
I was the wingman of the weekend, though, so I was just setting the boy, lining up the ladies for the boys. And,
this shit fucking flooded Broadway.
They ate it up. Well, because a girl would come up and start talking to me or something. I'd be like, yeah, I just graduated from law school and passed my bar exam, so me and the boys are down here celebrating. But
you passed that first.
Yeah, excuse me. But either way, I don't fucking know. I'm not a lawyer.
Exactly.
Makes sense. These girls didn't know either, so they ate that shit up, and then I just passed them on to the boys, and it worked.
So I can speak on two areas with both those examples. I think that with the suggestion that I gave you, depending on what exactly that you're looking for, depending on your environment, where you're at, you in town, you're on the road, you might need to fabricate your profession. Chances are you're never going to see the person again. I don't want to say that you're manipulating them to convince them that you're something that you're not. However, you can establish really quick if you guys are on the same page in the sense of they understand regardless of what you do that you're in a different state, you're an out-of-towner. If they're an out-of-towner, right, you can establish really quick if that person is out there like looking for something more than just, maybe a one-night fling type deal. Or if they're out there looking to meet Mr. Right. You never know. I think to touch on the second point, and I thought that, Shane, you guys all brought up a really good point, right? I think the next thing is something that's overused, and I think that's the whole 21st thing, like being that it's your 21st birthday, or being that it's you have a whole party with you that's known to the whole bar that you're celebrating either a bachelor party or bachelorette party.
I mean, it worked for us, man. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, and again, like that there's been instances where I've seen that work, and I've also seen it gone downhill just because it's so frequently used that you get sniffed out pretty quick, like you look pretty fake. But to Blower's point, if you're subtle about it, if you're not being public about that, and as shitty as this sounds, we all want what we can't have, right? So if you come off that you're married, that you're supporting the guys, like it's just they're both single, you're being the wingman. People want what they can't have.
Yeah, and I think that shit up.
Yeah, and I think that if you can establish that and keep it subtle and discreet and not be as forward, not advertising the fact that you're there with a group of people trying to celebrate a bachelorette party, sure, that might appeal to a specific audience. So,
well, speaking of, I think we did get sniffed out a little bit because they were a lot of group of bachelorettes asked us, where's the rest of the bachelors at? And we're like, well, they're coming tomorrow. They're coming tomorrow.
Yeah, I only got 3 friends. Sorry.
Yeah. But anyway.
I mean, like, as far as I remember, every girl that I told I was a bachelor, they ate that shit up. Well, just because, like, I was with you guys, and, like, you guys were obviously, a little more, not necessarily outgoing, but, like, I don't know the exact term for it.
Better looking, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Better looking, whatever you want to call it. The girls ate that shit up. So, like, this kid's taken, but the other guys are free game, so I just passed them your way.
Oh, they were flooding in their pants.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like, I even laid the fucking moves down on a couple of bachelorette parties just for you guys, dude.
I appreciate it.
I was talking to these girls and stuff. I was like, hey, I got boys over there. Like, they're looking for some ladies kind of thing, so.
And one thing that I really never heard before, and after you think about it, it's like, oh, that's true, is one of the managers at the bars we were at. It was early in the day, so we
that was at FGL.
Yeah, we were just getting food, and he was telling us all these like tips, and he goes, if you see a group of girls, the girl that's keeps looking around and isn't paying attention to like what her group is saying, that's the one that is looking for someone else.
Yeah, she's trying to get piped.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say. Yeah. It's the girl that's in the group and is just kind of looking around and turns around. You know what I'm saying?
Well, she's exploring her options, man.
Exactly.
I mean, she's there for the bachelor.
She's lonely. She sees her best friend who's getting married. She's like, well, I want a guy.
Yeah, no, obviously. That's exactly right. She's a little lonely. She's at a bachelorette party with all the ladies, but she's still looking for some pipe. So,
absolutely. I mean, and I can't speak for obviously your guest that came on from a female's perspective, but I think that we can both agree, being in the trenches, taking some shots here with the team that you go out with. I think it's no secret that whether you are a male or if you are a female and you get sniffed out real quick, that you come off that you're desperate, you're out looking, you're being very diligent, that is just not a
turn off.
Yeah, that is not a very good approach to take on the night. I mean, we've seen it in guys, like we'll take ownership, we'll be the first ones that admit that, unfortunately, like we've gone out there, like desperate times call for desperate measures. But at the same time, like we've seen it from our counterpart and our female, like we've seen it for them, so pick your battles, people.
Well, and like you have to present yourself confidently as well. I mean, if you go out there with the mindset or the outlook that like, hey, I'm just looking for anything and anyone, that kind of thing, like that's not going to work. You got to present yourself with confidence. you gotta walk into the bar like I'm the fucking shit. Like, I mean, don't be a douchebag about it, but like, just know, like, when you walk in the bar, like, you got options, that kind of thing.
Just
like,
know you're
take your pick.
Just know you're the best looking fucking.
Yeah,
dude
that
in
was
bar.
kinda-
Yeah, I was gonna say
Obviously.
me and Mazer were the best looking guys in Nashville, so we were pretty confident walking into any place. But yeah, I mean that's I think that's a huge thing, is presenting yourself with confidence as well when you walk in, because again, ladies eat that shit up, dude. So that's just personal experience. Girls like a confident guy, and when you present yourself confidently, especially when you're walking into an establishment, you just look so much better. So.
Well, fuck, boys. Now that I'm 21, let's talk about the bars, huh?
Hey, how we doing? So, I mean, the bars in Nashville were unreal. I mean,
Absolutely.
especially when you compare it to something like the Pound, dude. Like, I mean, just alone, Jason Aldean, which we talked about earlier, that was 4 stories of just nothing but shoulder to shoulder. Everybody's fucked up, live music. Like, it's just great. It's literally the coolest bar you could possibly imagine. And then, like, you come back to Livingston County, absolute shit show. There's nothing, and it's so depressing. So,
Oh, yeah, what a difference. I mean, between Broadway, all those bars, and then coming back here, or whether you go up in GR, wherever you're at. I mean, between prices, one, and the specials they have, I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, they had no specials. You're paying $8 for a beer. You're paying $15 for a fucking mixed drink. So,
dude, a Red Bull vodka, $13.
Yeah.
Red Bull vodka with
hey,
not even a shot.
see
of
you
fucking
later,
vodka,
bank
yeah.
account.
Like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I didn't drink any beer the entire weekend. Every time I went to the bar, I got a Jack and Coke, and it was $11 every single time.
Yeah,
Mine was 12 at our hotel.
Maybe it
That's
was
fucking
12. It
I
was,
was
disgusting.
gonna say the Red Bull vodkas, I think, were 12 or 13.
Yeah, it's
maybe it was
ridiculous.
13 with a tip, but I mean that's what on my charge card said it was 13. So.
And I think, like, I've had a similar experience where I went to Arizona for a work trip, and you're ordering a house, you know, say you're a gin and tonic guy, like, you order house gin, you're paying, you know, $18 for, you know, a double gin and tonic with lime, right? Like, you know, I haven't been price gouged that bad since, you know, my dad bought me Dippin' Dots at a Red Wings game when the Joe was still up, and it's $14.99 for a little, you know, 2-ounce cup of that, you know, that famous ice cream. So I think it's safe to say that depending on what city you're in, I think that it's a combination of they'll tailor deals to, you know, to their audience. Example, college towns compared to, you know, you go to a major city where everyone and their brothers coming in from out of state. It's a monopoly. They're gonna price gouge you, and they're gonna charge you what the house wants to charge.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And what about the townies in the city? I mean, are they better looking?
I mean, you know, I wasn't scoping out too many townies in Nashville, but I will say the talent is much better in a college, or excuse me, in Nashville or like a big city or something like that than it is in the college town. Because every time I've been out drinking to the bars and stuff in like a college town, it's not impressive. I hate to say it, but like, I mean, I'm not a 10, but again, like it's not that great.
I'll tell you the biggest difference I saw. Up here in Michigan, you know, all the college bars, whatever you want to call them. I mean, all these girls are white girl trash, that whole fucking shebang.
Hey, don't
We're down there.
disrespect-
No,
not
I am.
all of them. Not all of them.
Okay,
just
fine.
Some of them.
99.9% of them.
No,
But
don't
anyway,
disrespect women.
we go down to Nashville. All these girls are absolutely trash, but you can at least have a conversation with them. I mean,
Leo,
my
that's-
God.
I mean, because they're drunk. Like that's.
Yeah, but
I
they also have been drinking all day. I feel like our
Yeah.
girls up here can't hold their own.
That's true.
And I'm gonna
Because-
call you all
I was
out
just-
right now.
I was just gonna say, like, I had girls, like random girls, come up and like usually as a guy, you have to be the one that initiates the conversation. And like in Nashville, I had all these girls just like randomly coming up to me and start talking to me and stuff, and Mazer's giving me a look, but no, like it happened more.
I mean, let's flip the script, right? The tables are turned. Like, you now have the townies that they're king of the jungle, right?
Exactly,
like they're the
right.
townies, and they're thriving on all the
Yeah.
new talent that's, you know, it's a revolving door down there in Nashville.
That's very
right?
true. See, I didn't even think about
It just
that
so
way.
happened to be you three, handsome bastards
Again,
that came down that weekend.
Best looking guys in Nashville.
But no,
so-
I am giving you shit because that is true. Most of the girls that we talked to, they came up to us first.
Yeah, no, like I was
never happened.
I was approached by like I can't keep count, but like it was at least 5 different girls at like one bar that approached me and like talked to me and stuff, and I was like, you know what, see you later, but like it's just it is what it is.
And I'm a firm believer that you kept a respectable distance.
Of course.
You guys looked like you were having fun, but you guys also were not aggressive, but you came off as interesting, right?
Exactly.
So
that was the whole idea, right? Yeah.
Sure. And I mean, Blower, we're both tall drinks of water. We're at 6'3", 6'4" plus,
exactly.
right? So like that's our role. Like when we're trying to help our buddies
The ladies love
have a
tall
conversation,
guy.
right?
Yep.
Like we play that role. We're there. We're charismatic. We're very interesting, but we're very calculated. We
I love this guy.
we don't say much. Less is more in those situations.
Exactly right. You couldn't say it better. I couldn't say it better myself.
I know you couldn't take notes.
Yeah, exactly. I need to take notes from the Honky Man. I need to learn a few things.
You're
I can't even
6'2",
fucking talk.
6'3". You don't need to do much. So
I'm 6'3" and having no luck. So,
yeah.
I
So
gotta
zip
figure
it up a
this
little
shit
bit
out.
and just
Yeah.
let it show, buddy.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you guys probably agree to some extent. I think it's also a lot easier to talk to girls or just anyone when you're out of town because you can talk about where you're from and all that. Because when you're in the same town at the bar, you can't be like, oh, hey, where you from? Where you go to school? That kind of stuff. Like you can't really.
And while you're in the same town, like you're up, at your school bar or whatever, you're risking the chance of running into them the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
On Sunday, sober with the scaries, and that's the fucking worst thing that you do not want to run into.
Because that's what
the worst.
That's what it got to the point where Saturday night, Friday night, or whatever in Nashville, I'm like, dude, we're not gonna see any of these people.
And that was
again.
my biggest thing.
Yeah,
I will
who
never
cares?
see you again.
Like you got to think, who cares? Honestly, at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Like there was this one girl. So this was after Mr. Mazer and Will went rogue. So it's just me and Shane on the strip. We're walking around, and I was puffing on something, and this girl asked me if I had a Juul, and I'm like, no, I don't have a Juul. And she just started talking to me and stuff, and I was like, I was chatting with her, like trying to be nice. I wasn't interested or anything like that. I was just trying to be a nice guy, and then she tries dragging me into a bar, and like it was the exact same thing though. I was like, I can be a dick because I'm literally never gonna see this girl again. So like she tries to drag me into this bar, and I was like, no, like I gotta go, and like I ended up getting rid of her, but it was the same mindset. Like you're never gonna see him again. It does not matter like what you do, what you say to them, like it's fine because again, you're never gonna see them again. Like just do whatever the hell you want.
True.
So yeah, that's a very good point.
I kind of want to get away from Nashville for a little bit. I want to talk about
the hometown of Davenport, a little GR.
Yeah, I wanted.
Can we talk about the
616?
The 616.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the GR conspiracy?
I was literally
can you
about
speak
to
on that
ask
a little
that.
bit?
Yeah, what is the GR conspiracy? Because we've heard about it before. We don't know what it is.
Okay, so this is a very, very interesting case that I think that we can make for ourselves being Grand Rapids bar enthusiasts and regulars, as bad as that sounds. So
At the back 40.
yeah, so there are a couple bars. I don't know like legally what I can say on here, but I will tell you the back 40 Mojos, potentially Billy's. We're gonna go there.
Yikes.
There are a few bars that, regardless of the amount of pre-gaming that one does in Grand Rapids before they go out to the bars, right? Because obviously we're not trying to pay a lot for drinks. Anybody in that situation.
Yeah, fuck that. Pre-game, baby.
In our experience, for one reason or another, it seems as if after 2 beers, 2 Bud Lights, and a mixed drink, it could be Red Bull, vodka, whatever. The night ends there, and I've done nights where we've pregame, we've gassed ahead of time, and we get to the bar, and we're throwing down shots left and right, and it's really casual. But the second you dive into a mixed drink, I don't know what it is, and I'm
all of a sudden
I'm speaking for myself. So there's a conspiracy, and this is. Again, take this with a grain of salt. We're not trying to throw anyone under the bus here. We've talked to some of our close buddies that, again, we'll leave this in the air. They can neither confirm nor deny the allegations that are being presented here tonight at the castle. For fuck's sake, I think that somewhere down the road, whether it's from a third party, maybe someone that's trying to spike drinks, roofie drinks or something, maybe we're not paying attention to what we're getting. I'm not going to go out, as far as to say that it's the house that is implementing these practices, but for one reason or another, we can have a couple, like 2 or 3 beers, a beer on the way to the bar in an Uber, and the second you have a mixed drink downtown in Grand Rapids at specific bars, it's your world gets turned upside down from the second you put down a mixed drink. It's Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz roller coaster that you don't want to be on. So that again, this is all allegations. This is I wouldn't go as far to say it's a conspiracy, but for one reason or another, when you decided to drive down that one way road down to mixed Drinkville, it's not a pretty sight, to say the least. I don't know if any of you guys can speak on those experiences.
I think Mr. Mazer can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And GR, I mean, God, last year was a fucking riot. I mean, fuck, the number of times where I get to the bar and I'm not even buzzed, allegedly, and I get to the bar, not even buzzed. I have a mixed drink or 2, and then I don't remember shit. And I wake up the next morning in my bed, don't know how I got there. Hopefully an Uber. And I'm looking over. I'm like, well, what the hell happened last night? And sure as shit, I have no idea. It's definitely the conspiracy. Obviously we're not paying attention to what drinks are given or what they're doing with their drinks.
Don't set your fucking drink down.
Well,
man,
it's not even that.
You.
I think it's the bartenders and
the bartenders are roofing your ass.
Yes. And there were a couple bars, and I'm not going to name drop. I know it was in the news. I can't remember the names. I know Tin Can was one. I'm just going to say it. But bartenders did get fired for roofing drinks. No, they did.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's happening everywhere. It really is, and they just haven't got caught yet. And I definitely I got fucked somewhere.
And see that, like, we brought it up on our podcast before. The fact that you literally have to watch your drink and see what you're like, that's so
disgusting.
Fucked up. You should be able to trust a bartender, or you should be able to trust setting your drink down and not having to worry about someone spiking it. Like, we just live in a fucked up society, and like that's the way it is, and it's sad, but like you got to be careful. Like that, I mean, that's just what it boils down to. So
I do want to say really quick, however, the market for how night and day it is, loose and tight on bars that let you in with a fake ID in Grand Rapids. There may or may not be potential. Again, we're not making any allegations. We're not making any claims. We're not teeing Grand Rapids up to be an underage drinking city. However, Mazer, it sounds like
it's pretty
in your
easy,
experience,
huh?
it may be pretty easy to get into some of those bars down there.
I honestly, I never had a problem. I had one problem once, and it was the shittiest fake ID I ever had. Chris Stapleton, bouncer with a fucking peg leg at fucking Billy's, didn't let me in. But I came right back with another fake, and he let me in. So I don't know. I mean, I never had a problem. Chaz Disarath, actually, I'm gonna give him a little shout out. He was on our podcast before. I used this fake ID for years, probably a year and a half, a little longer than that. Allegedly, I actually don't care. I'm 21.
Allegedly.
Anyway, I
And you were Paul too for a little bit, right?
I was Paul. I think
Paul's
he's like 25.
Dunzo.
Anyway, I never had a problem in GR. Maybe one time.
What happened with Paul before you took over Chaz?
Crazy bitch from across the lake sank that shit.
Oh,
anyway,
we're still scuba diving for that bitch.
How are ya?
Yeah,
Anyway.
no.
So some creature came up to the castle, ripped your fake ID out, and just threw it into the moat.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
Yeah, you could call her a creature.
All right. All right. Well,
We're
that's
gonna get sued.
Yeah, that's gonna do it for episode 13 of the Fist Podcast. I mean, we hope you guys got some good tips out of this, some good life experience, and we hope you enjoyed it at the end of the day. So,
Honky Man, thanks for coming on, buddy.
yeah, we appreciate.
No, thanks for the hospitality.
Yeah,
I hope
we
to
appreciate
collaborate with
having
you
you on.
boys soon.
Yeah, no, this was fantastic. You're the best guest we've had so far. I just cut you off. I apologize, but
What's new? What's new?
Per usual, I cut everybody off. Don't feel bad about it, but
Business is business, boys.
exactly. So
Sometimes you got to step on a few heads to get to the top.
hey, if I can't scuba, what has this been all about? So.
See ya.
Same old situation.